I wanted to go out and do some filming outside and stuff this week, and I've struggled. It's pissing it down with rain, and it has been all week. It's just horrible, and everything I want to do involves filming outside. I just can't really do that. It's just really kind of limiting what I'm able to shoot. So I've been sitting and thinking, well, what can I do instead? Because I've made this kind of commitment where I want to try and film something every week. So in trying to think of what can I make this week, what video can I make this week, I don't know if it's the coward's way out or not, but I've decided to make a video about how to inspire yourself to make a video, how to come up with a good idea for a video, because it can be quite difficult. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to try and make something worthwhile, and it's really crucial to remember that whenever we're making any kind of video, it's got to have a purpose. It's either got to inspire someone, or it's got to teach someone something, or it's got to tell some sort of story. There's just no point in making a video just for the sake of it, without any kind of plan in mind for what does this video do. So that's really what I wanted to keep in mind this week. I didn't just want to make one for the sake of it, so I've decided to make a video to try and help people out and try and steer people into thinking, right, I want to make a video. This is how I'll come up with kind of an idea of what I want to do. So the first thing I would suggest is, if you are struggling to come up with an idea for something, is just to listen to some music. And that might sound a bit daft, but I find that music inspires me so much. So quite often, if I know I want to make something, I might have a bit of an idea already, but I might need that further push and to be inspired a little bit more. So I'll put on some headphones and I just start sifting through different types of music, and sometimes when I come across the right track, it just forms this idea in my mind of this amazing video that I want to capture. And that's kind of what happened with the Scotland video I made. I know I keep coming back to this, but it's one of my favourite videos I did last year. And as soon as I heard this particular track, or these two tracks that I used for the video, I'd already filmed everything at that point, but it showed me almost the route that I needed to go down to bring it all together in the edit afterwards. So I think music is so powerful. So just take yourself off, get a pair of headphones, put them on, and just sift through. And if you plan on using music, or that piece of music, within your video as well, always use a service where you're allowed to use that music. So use a licensing service like Epidemic Sound or Artlist. I use Artlist because I can use their tracks on my client videos. So I often go into Artlist and just start listening to music in there. Yeah, I very often get some sort of an idea, some sort of starting point for a video I want to make, and I did that earlier this week actually, and I came up with something really good, but like I say, it needs to be filmed outside, so that's going to have to wait for another week. So another tip for coming up with an idea for a video is to look at what other people have done in the past. Look at YouTubers that you like and who you follow, and maybe look at their older videos. And I don't mean as kind of a way of copying them or imitating them or anything like that. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing that. You need to find your own voice and be your own person. But look at the kind of things they've shown and the techniques they've taught, because they will have led them to success with those videos and generally as well. So since they've made them, maybe you know something different on a similar topic, or maybe a new way of doing something has come about, maybe a new technology has come out. So I think from looking at them and from comparing what they do to what you do can give you an idea of maybe how to teach someone how to do something a little bit different in your own particular style. So I think just by looking at other people's work, not in a comparison way, but by looking at other people's work and showing how they've tried to inspire people can really help. And just to go back to that comparison thing as well, I think that it's really easy to get into that trap of comparing ourselves to other people and thinking, well, they're doing all this amazing stuff and mine just isn't at that level. But again, if you go back at these people you follow and you look at their early work, it's so much different to what they're producing now, because they've had this success and they've probably now got teams around them and stuff like that, and they've learned so much along that journey. So don't compare your year one to someone else's year four. It just doesn't work. Just focus on what you're doing and just make the best thing you can. So another way of being able to get ideas, and this is something I should definitely think of more, is consider the work that you have done recently and how you can show other people the techniques that you've employed to to kind of get that job done. So what have you done on a particular job recently? It might not be, you might not be a photographer or a filmmaker, you might do something completely different, but think about the things you've done to get a project through and how you can then use those things to teach people how to do similar things. So it's not giving away your secrets, it's just helping people on their own journey and giving them the inspiration and the tools to get something done, much like you'll have picked up probably from watching YouTube videos in the past. So I think looking at your own work and trying to communicate, right, this is how I approach this task and this is how I completed it, I think that can make a really compelling video, and that's something I'm going to be doing a little bit more in the future myself. The tip number 4 would just be to do something different. Now, this, where I'm sitting now, is where I spend a lot of my working life. If I'm not on a shoot, generally I'm sat at this desk, and when you're sat in the same place all the time, it can almost just feel a little bit uninspiring and you're just used to it. So it's kind of hard to find yourself in a different headspace to be able to have those good ideas. So what I often do is I can just take myself and work in a different room in the house, maybe on a laptop or something, or if I'm making notes or something, just something different, or go to a coffee shop in town or into Manchester or something like that. And what this does, it kind of puts your mind on alert almost, and you're picking up all these new sensory things. When you're just in one place all the time, I think that can get a bit closed in and because you're used to it. But if you take yourself somewhere else, your mind's more active and you're on sort of sensory overload because there's all these new different things happening around you. And I think that kind of activation of your mind can definitely lead to you thinking in different ways and just observing the scene if you are out and about, just by watching things. Sometimes just an idea, it just takes one little thing to make an idea, and then that can grow into something completely different. So definitely get yourself away from your working environment if you're in the same place all the time, and just do something a little bit different, and soon the ideas will hopefully start to flow. So the 5th thing is to just do something, anything at all. It's amazing how many times I've not really felt like doing anything or felt pretty uninspired, but I've forced myself to just go out with my camera and just take a few pictures. So the video I put out last week was just, I didn't really know what to do. So I just went into the Peak District with my camera, and I ended up getting a short video that I hadn't really intended, with all this amazing fog, and that's nothing that I expected to be shooting in, and from that came the video I put out last week. Yes, it wasn't the most exciting video in the world, but it was something. And as soon as you do that one thing, you can tick it off, and then you start to get on a bit of a roll. And I think the more you get out there and create stuff, the more the ideas come in, and the more you feel comfortable with what you're doing, and therefore you're happier kind of just making videos in my case. So by doing something, you're starting the ball rolling. You don't know what it's going to lead to, and as soon as I start doing something, the kind of way my mind works, things can kind of happen, whether it's externally like the weather environment that I was in last week, or internally ideas start bubbling through and just, oh, why don't I try that, why don't I try this? You just don't know where it's going to lead. So by doing something, I think that can really start to kind of make ideas form in your mind, so I'd really recommend that. And finally, you could just make a video called How to Come Up With Ideas for Video. Genuinely, that is what happened this week. So I went through actually what I've already discussed in this video. I sat and listened to some music, and I had a title in mind, and then I just wrote kind of like a script as I was listening to music, and I really wanted to put that out this week because I think it's a very powerful message, but I just feel it needs the right footage to fit into it, otherwise it can just potentially fall a little bit flat and not reach the right kind of audience. So that's going to be saved for when I can actually get out there and film. So I sat and thought, and I came up with this: how to find ideas to make a video. So bit of a cop out, but it's worked, and hopefully I've been able to give you a little bit of good advice along the way and maybe inspire you to try something different to get those ideas to make something in future. So yeah, they are a few different tips on how you can get yourself into kind of a right mindset to come up with an idea for a video. There's loads of other different things you can do. I just find that if you sit there and you just try and think, right, what should I do? That's when the ideas don't come. You can't force it. Forcing it just doesn't work. You have to almost do something else for the ideas to come up. Like, how many times have you been out on a run or been in the shower and you've had a great idea. It's almost when your mind is calm and not trying to think of these things that the ideas come through. So that is the biggest piece of advice I can give you. Don't force it. If it's not working for you, do something different, and you'll be surprised how quickly something will come through. And on that, you should probably always carry a notepad with you. I've got a notepad where I make loads of notes of ideas, random ideas that just pop into my head all the time. Half of them just get binned, but it's good to write them down, because as I found as I get older, if I forget something, like if I have an idea and then forget something, it's not coming back most of the time, and writing it down, you're not going to forget it then. So yeah, they're all my pieces of advice on how to come up with good ideas for making a video. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I will have something filmed outside next week. Fingers crossed the weather doesn't continue as it is. But yeah, if you give this video a like, maybe have a comment below. If you've got any good tips for how you come up with ideas for creating either videos or anything creative, what do you do to kind of put your mind at ease and get in that sort of creative thinking mode? So any comments would be grateful, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because that would be really helpful to me. And yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.